This week, I'm looking forward to cover Jupiter. What we will see today is the mantra of the Jupiter. The mantra of the Jupiter as per the Satyanarayana Vrata. Okay. And the meaning of it. And we'll understand what characteristics Jupiter would have based on the Satyanarayana Vrata mantra, the Navagraha mantra. And we'll understand the avatara of the Jupiter, the Adidevata and the Pratyadidevata. And also the nakshatras where Jupiter is very important, like the Pushya, the Shravana, and the Uttarashadha. Okay, these are those three nakshatras we'll talk about in a bit. And we will also talk about the characteristics of Jupiter, and then followed by it, the Rishi and a few things that the Jupiter will represent. During the next class, we will also talk about Dronacharya, who is actually the guru of the Kauravas and the Pandavas. That will form the basis for understanding what Jupiter will do in each of the places from the Lagna or from the Mesha, from the Aries. So let's start with the mantra first. If you see the mantra for Jupiter, Brihaspati Atiyadaryo Arhat Dyumat Vibhati Kratumat Janeshu Yat Didayat Chavaha Rita Prajata Tat Asmasu Dravinam Dehi. This is the mantra of Brihaspati, okay, or the Guru, Jupiter. So Brihaspati is going to have Ati means abundance. Brihaspati is going to make everything abundant. So whatever it gets in contact with, it makes some abundance. So it gets in contact with something, it tries to expand it, or it tries to multiply it further and further. Okay. So Ati is exceedingly great or having some abundance to it. Aryaha, Atiyadaryo. In that we have Adaryo. That means somebody who respects the other person and also deserves a lot of respect for himself. So Jupiter is a kind of planet or graha which respects other people and also seeks a lot of respect for him, because he stands at the top of the pyramid, wherein he is giving the the upadesha to the king. Because if you look at the Rajguru, we usually call Rajguru. Who is the Rajguru? Rajguru is the principal advisor for the king. So he is usually an elderly person than the king. So the king usually bows down in front of him and respects the Guru. So because the king respects him, all the people are below the king. So usually Guru is at the top of everything. That is how the whole system operates, right? In Indian context. So people, all of the people will respect Jupiter, including the sun, right? Although sun is the king, sun does all the work, who represents the 10th house. Jupiter basically is there to advise the king what actions have to be taken, or how the Dharma Shastra or how the Nyaya Shastra has to be, how it has to be compiled. What are all those rules that the country has to follow or the state has to follow? So these are those rules that we need to implement as a constitution. Like, it can be an example of that rule book can be a constitution. So a constitution is devised or compiled by a guru-like person, wherein the king is the sun is going to implement it. Okay. So that is what you have to look Jupiter as. And he is the elderly person in the kingdom, while the king himself is respecting him. And he is the most noble one. He is the most respected one. He is the most deserving one. He is the most worthy one. And he is the most radiant one. He is the most shining, illuminated, and wise intelligent, all of those attributes that a Jupiter, that a guru deserves in Indian context. Ideal guru, that the ideal guru should have, everything Jupiter will have. Okay. So Jupiter is the ideal guru person. What does a guru do? Guru is very good at advising, but very poor at performing, right? Guru does not do any work. That's why he gets debilitated in the 10th house. Okay, there are so many things why Jupiter debilitates in the 10th house. As we progress through the lecture, this lecture and the next lecture, you will have a clear understanding of why he exalts in the 4th house and why he exalts in the 10th, why he debilitates in the 10th house. You will have a clearer picture. Okay, so wherever it is attributable, I would keep saying this is why Jupiter debilitates here or Jupiter exalts here. This is what Jupiter likes and this is what Jupiter dislikes. You have to count upon all these, make a heap of all these things, make use of these things in the predictions. That is how you have to develop yourself. Now, Vibhati, if you see these words like Dyumat, Vibhati, Didayat, all these words, right? Vibhati is one word, Dyumat is one word, Didayat is another word. All of them will say the Jupiter is radiant, the Jupiter is shining. The Jupiter, when he walks on the street, you can easily identify that there is a huge glow in his face, right? He shines like God, right? If you see godly people, right, what happens? Usually they will look very radiant. They will look as if they are godly in appearance. This is what all those attributes that the Jupiter usually will have. Okay. So this is what you will get to see when Jupiter is very strong in a person. The person shines very nicely. Okay. Although he does not apply anything on his body, radiance automatically comes. It is not coming due to some artificial lotions or something as a cream that is applied usually these days. All right. So now Kratumat. Kratumat is actually one of those words which I like about this whole mantra. Kratumat means, Kratu would mean a yajna. Krat, okay. Kratu means yajna or a sacrifice. Sacrifice wouldn't mean in the English context sacrifice, but in the Indian context, yajna, right? Where the fire sacrifice is happening. Or something, some knowledge of, or the best knowledge of how a thing has to be performed. That is the Kratu, right? So how a sacrifice has to be performed, Jupiter has the best understanding. Why do olden people used to do yajnas or sacrifices? To bestow happiness from the gods, okay, or bestow blessings upon the people. In today's world, how do we apply it? He understands the logic, he understands the standard operating procedure one has to adopt for him to be successful in an organization, for the process to be successful, for the people to be successful, for the company to be successful at the end. If it is a company thing that we are talking about, if you're talking about a community thing or a religion thing, same things. I mean, you can apply it respective to what exactly you are looking at. So what does Jupiter represent here? He is the person who devises or compiles all those rules and regulations that the person has to follow so that he reaches the right goal. That is Kratu, right? So he has enough understanding of how each process has to be done in the life, right? Janeshu means of the people. Amongst all the people, Jupiter is the most worthy person. Okay. And he is constantly blazing with shining, Didayat would again mean blazing, shining brightly. And he has enough strength that can be used, to understand what has to be done as an advice. Jupiter is an advisor. Jupiter is a mentor. Jupiter is a minister. But Jupiter is not very good at executing a job. Okay, that's why he gets debilitated in the 10th house. All right. So Chavas is over. Rita Prajata. This is another word which I like the most. The meaning of this word Rita. You can look at Chitra Nakshatra. where we got this word called Rita. Okay, Rita or Ruta, the way, whichever way you want to pronounce it, Ruta or Rita, both are correct because it's the of the Ritu, right? We use it's for the season. Season is Ritu. Similarly, South Indian languages call it Rutu. It's just the same thing, Rutu, Ritu. Either way you call it, the meaning of it is Rita means a social order, right? Rita means a cosmic order. So similarly, for the cosmic order to exist, there is Jupiter. If you see, based on astronomy, it is because the Jupiter is standing in that solar system, we have the Earth in place. Had Jupiter not been there, there would have been severe asteroid attacks on us, and Earth would have gone out of the orbit long back. So what is Jupiter trying to establish in the solar system? It is trying to establish the cosmic order. What does cosmic order means? There is a fixed orbit for all the planets around which all the planets have to revolve around the sun. For that to happen, Jupiter is the planet. If you look at astronomy, if you know it, I think most of you know. So you understand that Jupiter is the reason why the whole solar system is standing besides the help from the sun. All right. Similarly, in usual world or the common world, what does Jupiter do for us is it establishes the social order. So what a social order would mean, you're writing a constitution, you're writing a rule book, so that everything happens in order in the society. If it's for an organization, you're writing a rule book called as standard operating procedures, so that the production happens as per the standard operating procedure, or any other process for that matter, it happens as per the standard operating procedure. Okay, that is what Jupiter is responsible for. Okay, that is Rita. Rita Prajata. Rita would also mean, Satya. Satya means the truth. Truth would also mean God. What is God? Satya. Ekam Sat Viprena Bahuda Vadanti. Right? Everybody would use this word, use this sentence. So Ekam Sat, that means there is one God. People call him with different names. So Rita Prajata. So this man, Jupiter, is born. Prajata means born out of Rita. That means born out of truth, born out of God. So he is the son of God. Okay. Tat asmasu dravinam dehi. That means the person who came out of God, who is the son of the God, is trying to give me money. Okay. Or he's trying to give me prosperity. Actually, Jupiter does not give money, but Jupiter is focused more on prosperity. Okay. So a lot of people think that Jupiter is the Dhanakaraka, but usually Jupiter is a Karaka for prosperity or contentment, right? The satisfaction that you have with whatever you have. A person can still be very satisfied, happy, and he has the word called as tripti, right? The tripti, the satisfaction of life. That is what Jupiter gives. So Jupiter provides the happiness from the life that one is living. It is not necessarily that you have 100 crores of rupees in your savings bank and you may still be unhappy, and you may have about a lakh rupee in the bank and you can still be very happy, or even less than that you can still be very, very happy, right? So happiness is not from the money. You have to understand it. So Jupiter provides the happiness or the prosperity or the unity. But Jupiter provides the unity of a structure. That means a structure is in place because of the unity. All the departments are functioning properly, so everything is in place. Let's suppose an organization has to work, right? There is an office boy who supplies teas to the tea and the coffee and refreshments to the staff. Even he's important in the organization. That is what Jupiter will look for. Let everybody be happy and let everybody progress, right? Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. That means let everybody progress, let everybody prosper. This is what Jupiter is looking at. All right. These are all those words or those sentences Jupiter is naturally focused upon. So everybody should be happy. That is when Jupiter is happy. That is why Jupiter is exalted in the fourth house of the natural zodiac, which represents the common public or the general public, right? We also have a lot of understanding through the nakshatras, why Jupiter is exalted at this place, why Jupiter is debilitated at another place, and all that stuff. We will we will move into the avatars first, and later on we will come to that stuff. So in the avatara, so you have the Vamana avatara. I would strongly encourage people to read these things available on the internet today in whichever language you are comfortable. Please type Vamana Avatara and read it, read it through the YouTube or a book or a Wikipedia, or buy the Puranas and try to read them, so that you have a clear understanding of what the Avatara is all about. I'll give you a few, I'll give you a few sentences of how this avatara works and so on. We have also discussed about this avatara during Shravana Nakshatra. If you need to know what Vamana avatara is, please go and read Shravana Nakshatra, which we have done previously in the previous classes. You will have a great understanding of it. And the Brahma is the Adhidevata, Indra is the Pratyati Devata. All right. These will be used usually for devising remedies, etc. When we come up to remedies, I think maybe after a year or so, I'll tell you how to make use of these things. Till that time, what you can understand is, if you understand about the Vamana Avatara, then you will obviously know. I mean, if you know the intricacies of what Vamana Avatara is all about, then you'll obviously know why Brahma is the Adhidevata and why Indra is the Adhidevata. Even if you do not know, we will talk about it in detail during those classes when the remedies will come up. Okay. So understanding Jupiter from different nakshatras. Everyone knows that in the Cancer, in the fifth degree of Cancer, where this nakshatra called Pushyami is there, the first pada of Pushyami comes up. That is where the Jupiter is exalted, right? If you know the mantra, I mean, I have done the video for Pushya or Pushyami or Pushya, both are the same. Please read that nakshatra, you will have a great understanding of it. Brihaspates Tishyaha Juhvataha Parastat Yajamana Avastat. This is what is the nakshatra mantra of Pushya. Brihaspati Tishya means the Pushya nakshatra. Brihaspati is the graha or the planet. Juhvataha. Juhvataha in the sense it performs a lot of sacrifices, or it eats a lot of things. There is Agni, right? Jupiter represents the Agni or the fire. What does fire do? Fire eats a lot of things. Whatever you put into fire, it eats away that, right? Everybody knows this. In Indian context, fire eats away everything, or transforms everything into something else, makes it an ash, right? It turns everything into an ash, or at least it first transforms something. Let's suppose you put fire on, I mean, water on the fire. What happens? You get water vapor, right? It actually converts it into another state. Further and further, if it is a solid material, it turns it into an ash. So first thing that the Agni will do is transformation. Second thing that the Agni will do is make it an ash, right? So both way it is still a transformation. Juhvataha, that means a person who would eat a lot. Jupiter needs a lot of food, right? Jupiter is usually fat. Jupiter eats a lot. Jupiter doesn't work so much, so he builds up a lot of fat. Physical work is very less. The 10th house would represent a lot of physical work. You look at these fire planets, right? Fire planets are Sun and the Mars. These two planets are having directional strength in the 10th house, because 10th house represents a lot of labor, a lot of physical work. When you go to work in those days, the biggest thing, the work that people used to do is farming. Farming would need labor, right? Today there are labor available. You can pay them and you can employ labor and get your work done. In those days, If it's your farm, if it's your land, you have to plow it, you have to do everything. So the 10th house thing would represent usually the farming, right? What does the first house thing would represent? It represents your head. That is where Jupiter gets the directional strength. So what does the head do? Head only can advise, because head has a mouth, head has eyes, head has nose, all those indriyas, right? We call that indriyas. All the indriyas, majority of them are present in the head, right? That is why we have Indra as the Adidevata here. Indra represents all the indriyas, right? So first house, you have all the senses except for the touch, right? Everything else, I mean, touch is on the face as well. You can feel the sense, but for the touch, we usually use the third house, that is the hands. You always touch anything with the hand. For everything else, we use the first house. So Jupiter gets directional strength in the first house because it has the face, and it has, most importantly, the brain, right? Jupiter and Mercury use the brain. So that is why Jupiter or Mercury are more interested in solving a problem or achieving something or trying to do some work using the brain, that is the first house, but not the 10th house, because they are not very physically fit, or they're not very, they're not meat-eating people. Jupiter definitely is not a meat-eating person. He doesn't have the caliber to work long hours, etc. He's physically a weak person, right? He eats vegetarian diet. All right. Okay. See, that's an ideal thing. I'm not saying whoever has a strong Jupiter would eat a vegetarian diet. Please don't mistake it for. I'm trying to explain it right from the scratch of the thing. So please don't make conclusions here. I'm just trying to give you the very first things of what Jupiter can mean. Usually Jupiters are from those community in olden days who were Brahmins, right? Who were used only as advisories, right? Who were mentoring the kings. They were usually Brahmins, right? Who were not eating meat. Ideally, they were like that, right? We all talked about the story of the Tara, the moon, the Mercury, and the Jupiter, and how these people are related to each other in the previous lecture of the Mercury. Please go back and read that. Mercury is the son of Jupiter, is the adopted son of Jupiter, although the real father is the moon, and the mother of Mercury is Tara, who is the wife of Jupiter. All right. So Mercury and Jupiter are related to each other as father and son. Okay. That is another thing that we need to know. Okay. So Mercury is the intelligence, that the buddhi, and the buddhi is again tutored by whom? Guru. Buddhi, the kid is always tutored using a Jupiter. It needs a guru, right? So Mercury was also a disciple or the Sishya of Jupiter, right? Okay. Now look at this thing. There are several stories about the birth nakshatra of Jupiter, of which somebody would say it is Uttara Phalguni, because Uttara Phalguni, if you see, you know, Uttara Phalguni, Bhagasya Uttare, Bhaga means Bhagavan. Bhagavan, Bhagasya Uttare, after Bhagavan, there is Guru, right? Bhagasya Uttare Vahamanaha Parastat Bhagasya Uttare Vahatavaha Parastat Vahamana Avastat. This is the mantra. So this man, Jupiter, is next to God. That is what Uttara would mean. Okay. However, there is also at other places that mentions that it is Shravana Nakshatra is the birth star of Jupiter. If you look at Shravana Nakshatra, this is a little interesting for me. That's why I thought, okay, let me keep both of these things in place, because I thought Shravana is more likely to be a Jupiter's nakshatra. For the reason is, if you look at Shravana Nakshatra, look at the meaning of it. Vishnu Shronaha Pruchamanaha Parastat Pantha Avastat. If you did not hear to any of my nakshatra lectures, please go back and hear them. You will have a lot of understanding if you listen to all these lectures. So it is important so that you understand and you'll be in the right track. Okay. So Vishnu Shronaha Pruchamanaha Parastat Pantha Avastat. We've talked about this nakshatra. Here the Vishnu would mean the Vamana. The Vamana who has sent the Mahabali into the underworld. Okay. There is a huge description. All the characteristics of that nakshatra were given. But what is interesting, just look at it. Jupiter is, if you look at where does this nakshatra fall? This nakshatra falls in Capricorn, right? Shravana falls in Capricorn. What happens to Jupiter when it gets into Capricorn? Jupiter gets debilitated, but Jupiter is born, right? So Jupiter is actually happy to be born in a nakshatra that can debilitate him. Okay, these are very important things. Okay, even if you look at the Uttara nakshatra, right? Look at where Uttara Phalguni nakshatra is. Uttara Phalguni nakshatra is in Virgo. Virgo is a sign of Mercury, which Jupiter does not like, right? Jupiter hates Virgo or Jupiter hates the Mercury because for obvious reasons. They are opposing each other. Mercury and Jupiter are trying to compete with each other, or Mercury rather want to compete more with the Jupiter, right? Because he wants to prove himself that he is better than the Jupiter because he's a boy, he's a young man. Young men in the office, if you look at them, how do they behave? They would always try to say that, look, the boss doesn't know much. I know a lot. This is a usual young people thing. So anybody who says that, look, the teacher doesn't know much. I know a lot of things than the teacher. It means that the Mercury is very active, right? If it's the other way around, no matter how much ever the teacher knows, he's a teacher. I have to respect him. It means that the Jupiter is more stronger than the Mercury. So there is always a tug of war between these two planets. That's why Mercury and Jupiter are always having signs opposite to each other. Gemini is opposite to Sagittarius. Pisces is opposite to Virgo, right? They're always trying to compete with each other. Okay. So no matter where the Jupiter is placed, never think that, okay, Jupiter is in the 8th house, so Jupiter is, weak, or Mercury is in the 8th house, or Mercury is in the 12th house, it's weak. No, Jupiter can still be in the 8th house, it can still be strong. Okay. Doesn't matter, it can be exalted, it can be debilitated, it can still be strong for different reasons. Okay. So never think debilitation is weak, exaltation is strong. This is a very kindergarten level understanding because the results are not coming like that. One may have a Jupiter in the 8th house in a debilitation sign, still the Jupiter is very strong. One may have an exalted Jupiter in the 2nd sign, he may still have a very bad Jupiter. Okay, because any planet will depend on your 3, 6, 10, and 11 signs. That means, are you doing something? 3rd house. Are you practicing something? 6th house. Are you working on something? 10th house. Are you trying to gain from that work that you're doing? The 11th house. 3, 6, 10, and 11 houses, or the behavior of the person is going to change the behavior of the planets. That is why we do remedies. Otherwise, remedies won't work, right? I mean, let's take this logically. Somebody has a planet somewhere, and if you think it is weak, it means that you cannot remedy it. Why are you remedying it? Is because you're trying to work over it using the sthanas or using the balas of the other planets. Okay. So it means that any planet can be strong anywhere. Any planet can be weak anywhere. Doesn't depend on placement. It doesn't depend on exaltation. It doesn't depend on debilitation, or it doesn't depend on own place, Shatru's place. Please remove all these. Okay. Even if it is placed in a Shatru sign or enemy sign, it can still be very strong for different reasons. That is why if you ask about the bala of a planet, okay, several sages have given several ways of calculating different kinds of bala, right? If you look at the strength stab available in the Jagannatha Hora, you will see so many ways of calculating the bala of a planet. And believe me, none of them are very reliable. No, I'm not saying that the software is not reliable. I'm saying none of the ways of calculation of bala of a planet, strength of a planet, are very reliable. You have to speak to the person and understand what is he radiating as strength. While you speak to him, you'll understand what planets of him are very good, what planets of him are very bad. This comes with a little experience. You have to build that. That will come. It is not rocket science, believe me. Everybody starts at some place. And once you are clear, so it may so happen that a planet, apparently that may look very greatly placed, may still need a remedy, and that whatever planet that you're thinking is very badly placed may not need a remedy at all. Okay, it depends on that situation. Okay, all right. So where were we? We are talking about the Vishnu Shrona, right? The Shravana Nakshatra. So if you see Vishnu, what does Vishnu mean? Somebody who is trying to expand. Expand, like the universe is expanding, right? If you we've talked about the Vishnu Sahasranama as well there. The first sloka is Visvam Vishnur Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. We talked about this. So we know what is Vishnu. Vishnu means somebody is constantly expanding, or somebody has expanded so much that there is no space left. That is called as Vishnu. Okay, Visvam Vishnu, that means the universe is constantly expanding. This is what our scientists have very recently understood, that the universe is expanding at 10x, 10x faster than what it used to be a few years ago. This is a very recent discovery. I think about 10-15 days ago, this article came up that the universe is even fastly expanding. I would probably believe that we have also built a lot of machines that are trying to travel across and trying to find what galaxies are there. Probably there is somebody up there who is trying to stop us from looking at him, and he is going further and farther and farther at a very, very fast pace, right? So now, okay, this is all my belief. Okay, you may not agree with me still, but it's okay. All right, so what does this represent? Jupiter represent? He's still okay to start his life, or he's still okay at a place, or rather he's more okay to start at a place which needs help, right? Where do you need help? When you are in a Shatru's place, or when you are in a debility place, right? If it is in Uttara Phalguni, it's in a Shatru's place. If it is in the debilitation, it also needs help. That is the usual thing, right? So Jupiter wants to start with a person who needs help. Why does Raja come to a Rajaguru? Raja will come to a Rajaguru only when he realizes that there came a problem which the Raja himself cannot solve it. He needs the help of a mentor. He needs the help of a guru, so that he approaches the guru, right? So guru is very happy to help a person who is very down, right? Who is not doing well. That is why I would think Jupiter has a nakshatra of birth that is in the debility sign, or in the sign that he does not like much, because that is where the guru starts. There is a problem, you approach a guru. That is how it is, right? So where does the Jupiter really debilitate, right? The Jupiter really debilitates one nakshatra before that. What is that one nakshatra before it, before Shravana? That is Uttarashadha. If you know Uttarashadha, we've talked about Uttarashadha in detail in the nakshatra series. Please go back and listen to it. You'll understand why the Jupiter is debilitating in Uttarashadha. Uttarashadha is Vishvesham Devanam Uttara Abhijayat Parastat Abhijitam Avastat. In this, what happens is you have 33 gods. Everybody knows this, that there are 33 gods. And if all the gods unite, it becomes Vishnu, or the Virata Rupa. Okay, this one. This is called as the Virata Rupa. You can call him Vishnu, you can call him Shiva, you can call him whatever name that you want to give him. When everybody unites and says that there is one God, and he is a conglomerate of all these activities that these 33 people will do, or the 33 gods will do, and they are all united. Okay. Instead, if they are trying to divide themselves into all 33 and not having a coordination between each of them, and they will call each of them as different entities, and fight against each other and try to prove that, look, I'm Shiva, I'm better than Vishnu, or I'm Vishnu, I'm better than Sai Baba. Okay, who would do this? Would the gods quarrel? No, it is the people who would quarrel for the gods. They would, those followers of those religions, or followers of those, gurus, would say that, look, my guru is better. No, your guru is inferior. How come you would say that my guru is better, your guru is inferior? All this. What would it lead to? It would actually lead to destruction of it. And Jupiter is very, very happy when everybody is united and when there is peace. When there is quarreling, right? When there is fight happening, that is when the Jupiter debilitates. What is Uttarashadha all about? It starts just after the Sagittarius is over. I mean to say, the second charana of Uttarashadha falls there, or the third charana rather, if you want it to be very precise. Third charana of Uttarashadha would end up in a place where there is war, right? The planet isn't, or it represents a place exactly opposite to the Cancer. Cancer is peace, Capricorn is war, right? When Cancer is there is no Capricorn. When Capricorn is there is no Cancer. Or in other ways, you have, I'll give you a classic example. Once APJ Abdul, this is all conceptual, okay? You have to understand what Jupiter is. This is what I'm trying to give you. Okay, once APJ Abdul Kalam, the former president of India, I like this thing very much. I spoke about this even in the Telugu class. I want to repeat it here. This president, the APJ Abdul Kalam, was once asked, "Sir, you are a poet." Some paparazzi asked him, some news reporter asked him, "So you're a poet. You constantly preach about world's peace, and we all should stand united, etc., and nobody should quarrel against each other. There should be no bombings, etc., and all that. But all your life, what you have been doing is developing missiles, warheads, and all that stuff that is used only during a war. Why did you do that if you're such a peace-loving man? Just look at the kind of tricky question these these Westerners would try to ask Indian people. And this man, without any delay, he answered it very, very simply. And that answer has actually fascinated me a lot. That made me understand what Jupiter is. Look at this answer. He said, look, if I do not develop any of these warheads or the missiles, the enemy country or anybody who is eyeing at me, what they will know is, okay, India has not been developing any of the warheads or any of the weaponry, so they must be very weak now. Let me go and attack him. So it makes the enemy country to raid upon me and attack me. Instead, if I have everything within my infantry to combat war, it would ensure that the enemy country would be afraid that, look, if we attack India, the moment we attack them, we will be off in a few minutes. If I try to signal this from here with the warheads and the missiles and all those infantry that I have, if I can telegraph it, just by having them developed and keep it in my warehouse, so that can bring in a lot of peace, because India will not go and attack anyone. We are very sure we will not drop a bomb on anyone. Okay, it's not the exact lines that he has said, but this is what it exactly meant. I mean, I literally had a very good impression. I mean, my impression actually went even much higher after having listened to this one. Okay. So the idea of saying it is Jupiter is is ruling Sagittarius. If you look at Sagittarius, what is it called in Sanskrit or any of the Indian languages? It's called as Dhanu, Dhanu Rashi, right? What does Dhanu mean? Dhanu means a bow and an arrow. What does Jupiter represent? Jupiter represents an Acharya or the Drona Acharya. We will talk about him probably the next class. I don't think we can cover him today. We'll talk about him in the next class, and we'll talk through his life, and then we'll understand more. So what did Dronacharya do? He trained everyone in warfare, how to do warfare. He trained everyone, right? But he never waged a war, except for the Kurukshetra war. We will talk about that in detail the next class. However, why did he teach it? Only as a combat, right? If somebody tries to attack you, why does Jupiter teach everything? on the warfare thing because he tries to make you equipped. He has the understanding of every, every, what do you call that? Every weaponry that can be used over, but still he would keep them only in the warehouse and not use them, as the first person to, throw it against an enemy. Rather, he would use it only for defense, right? So that is what Dhanas is all about. But if there is a war, somebody throws at you, what happens? We realize, okay, there is a war coming up, we have to fight it. So that happens just after the Dhanas is over into the Uttarashada Nakshatra. The real the real battlefield, the Kurukshetra exists in the Capricorn, in the Uttarashada, right? Kurukshetra is a place where Kauravas and Pandavas fought against each other in the Mahabharata. So what does that represent? That is represented by Uttarashada Nakshatra, where the war is literally happening. Okay, a lot of people are dying, and Jupiter is a Jiva Karaka. So when a lot of people are dying, Jupiter does not like it, right? So Jupiter is trying to help the mankind prosper, and Jupiter is very, very peace-loving person. Because he is peace-loving person, that is what even the Venus likes about him. If there is peace, right? Let us look at two countries. I will not name any two countries, but you imagine it for yourself. Two countries. One is having trying to be on a constant war, and the other one doesn't have any wars. What happens there? The one which has wars, right? There is least amount of trade, economy, progress happening. These are all ruled by Venus. What does Venus rule? The seventh house. What happens in the seventh house? Trade. You give me this, I'll give you that. You have money. Okay, what do you make? You make phones. Okay, you give me a phone, I make laptops. I'll give you a laptop. What does this mean? This is a trade. We are trading off against that what you have. This is what Venus likes all about. What happens with trade? Your economy boosts up. What happens with economy? You'll be able to lead a much better life, right? You can buy a car, you can buy an expensive home, you can buy even a better home, you can buy even a better car as you progress in the life. This is what is the aspect of Jupiter that Venus likes a lot about, and he is, because everybody will come and ask Jupiter, what should I do? Jupiter will always say, try to maintain peace, right? If you're maintaining peace, what are you pushing? You're pushing Venus into the equation, because the more the peace is, more is the economic growth. That's why Venus also likes a lot the Jupiter. Although apparently it may look like Venus does not like Jupiter, but no. Okay, Venus likes a few traits of Jupiter. We will talk about Venus and Jupiter relationship after we have covered Venus as well. That would be maybe in the next 3 classes from now. Okay. Characteristics of Jupiter. One is wherever Jupiter sits, right? What you can expect is from the place that it sits and the place that it aspects. Okay. So 5, 7, 9, and 1. So wherever Jupiter is sitting, count 5 houses, 7 houses, 9 houses, and include the place that where the Jupiter is sitting. All of these places are usually blessed. Okay, all of these houses are blessed. What does blessed mean is, what is a blessing? A blessing is something that happens on time. Let us suppose, why do people approach astrologers? Sir, I'm not getting married. What does it mean? I'm exceeding my marriageable age and I'm not getting married, right? So something that happens on time, right? That is what Jupiter rules. So blessing is something that is delivered by Jupiter by getting it on, delivered on time. So somebody gets married, what do they expect? They need children, right? He delivers children on time. Somebody doesn't have a job, he would deliver a job on time. Okay. There is a guy, let us suppose, who is educated very well. He's got a postgraduate degree, etc. All the education is complete. He stood first everywhere in the class. By 23 or 25, let's suppose the guy is graduated and he's waiting for a job. And he got a job at the age of 45. and he got an excellent job, what would you talk about him? What would you say about him? You would say most of his life is wasted because he got a job only after so many, after old age, at an old age. And what happens for his marriage or anything? Because he is unemployed, he's not able to, even marry, not able to marry, not able to produce children, everything gets delayed, right? Jupiter is the person who is going to deliver the blessings if there is an aspect on that particular house. He tries to protect that house. This is a usual statement, right? Okay. So Jupiter delivers happiness. Jupiter constantly wants to expand. Jupiter is a foodie. Jupiter wants to have delicious and nutritious food. Okay. Jupiter is a teacher. Jupiter has the highest amount of wisdom. Jupiter, the color that it rules is yellow or golden yellow, right? Jupiter is completely a male planet. Jupiter's status is a teacher or a priest. Jupiter is the only planet which is fully sattvic. This is one more thing that you have to carefully understand. What does fully sattvic means? What a lot of people think is Jupiter is the highest amount of benefic. So this is a very good thing to have. Yes, I don't deny, but there is a negative side as well to it. Okay, if let us suppose you have to send a guy on some work, Jupiter is the most unreliable person to send him on a work. You cannot depute him for work. What you can do for him is you be there and keep advising people, but not do anything. Okay, if you're trying to depute him for some work, Sattvic people will struggle a lot to deliver something. Okay, please write down this somewhere. And Jupiter is completely Sattvic. What does completely Sattvic mean is Ravi, let us suppose Sun you take, okay, Surya. Surya is Sattvic, but he has a little bit of Rajasa in him. Okay, so his Sun is like a fatherly person. We've talked about him in the past lectures. You can go back and listen to them. However, the biggest difference is because Sun is little bit of Rajasic, he would say, look, this work has to be done. Please do it. Okay. Jupiter, on the other hand, is always on the requesting mode. He can only go and only request. Sometimes, unless you keep your foot down and say, look, this has to be done very seriously, people will not follow it. And Jupiter struggles a lot to say this to people because he thinks, I think the other person will be hurt if I would say it very strongly. Let me not say. Even if he says this strongly, he'll come back and immediately apologize and says, look, had I been a little harsh, please, please, show your mercy on me. It was not intended to hurt you, etc. All that. He keeps saying this. What happens then? The whole thing will get diluted and the person will still not do the job. Okay. So never take the best things can still be, the best things can still harm you for different reasons because you need the right person on the right job, right? Okay, the eye color is yellow. The body is short and bulky. Okay, so you have kapha. The kapha, the prakriti is kapha or the phlegm. Usually Jupiter is short-haired, but today you cannot say if it's short-haired or long-haired in case of Jupiter. So I would say not go by the hair thing. Okay, Jupiter talks very wisely, or rather does not talk at all. Biggest challenge with Jupiter is, let us suppose some discussion is happening, right? I don't know how to describe this. Let us suppose there is an equation, okay? There is a mathematical equation that is being discussed in a class. This equation, let us suppose this appears in the 7th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, probably in the PG level and even at the research level, like the E is equal to MC square. Okay, how this evolved and so on, if you wanted an explanation over it. For a 7th grade student, right, the textbooks would be printed so that they understand it at their level. Okay, and let's suppose Jupiter came up to that 7th class and the lecture is being delivered. There will be a lot of mistakes being delivered by the teacher so as to keep it at that level of 7th grade. Because if you try to explain them the whole thing at the PG level or the research level, the whole concept cannot be digested by those people at the 7th grade level. So textbooks are devised in such a way that maybe a few things are, erratic while the lecture or the concept is being delivered to them. Jupiter will say it is okay at that level, but will not, go and object that, look, this is wrong, this has to be changed. However, Mercury is a person who would say, who would go back and say, I mean, I'm talking about an ideal situation so that you will understand what I'm trying to say. Mercury will go up and say, look, at the PG level, I studied the same equation. Okay, this is what is the whole concept about the whole equation. He'll go on writing over the board and he'll fill up all the board and say, look, this is what the equation is. And at the end, what happens? The whole class will not even understand a single line of what the Mercury wrote. Okay. However, Jupiter would keep mum. He will not talk at all. Okay. Sometimes, I mean, in this example, it is Jupiter better. I can give you another example. Okay. At the office, something happens. Okay. You have Jupiter and Mercury. What happens with Jupiter is, if Jupiter goes there and tries to solve it, usually complaints, right? When a customer raises a complaint, if a Jupiter goes and tries to solve the problem, what happens with Jupiter is, Jupiter tries to over explain the thing. Jupiter tries to explain the core level of the thing, of the problem, which the customer does not need actually. He needs a Mercury wherein what is apt for that situation, he'll do it and come out. Not explain too much to the customer. Try to be, what do you call that? Tactful. Try to be tactful. That is Mercury. Jupiter is wise, but not tactful. Jupiter tries to explain going to the core of the things. So sometimes, you may feel that, the person who has the highest amount of knowledge is not sent to the customer. They will rather be used as trainers. Whoever is in the recruitment department and whoever is working at the very high level of an organization will understand this. This person has enormous knowledge. Let me not send him to the client. Instead, I'll keep him in the office or at the factory. He will train all our salespeople and tell them what has to be conveyed to the customer in case there is a problem. And after hearing, the salespeople will try to, paraphrase the whole stuff in their own language and try to explain it to the customer. That will actually work much better. Okay, hope I'm making some sense while I'm trying to explain these concepts. These are little difficult concepts to understand, but these are required for you to understand what exactly is happening at the person's level of the office or something. When you look at D10, etc., this will be very, very useful, because most problems why they come up is only this. The people will ask either about the job or the marriage or the kids. That's it. Okay. So the dhatu is brain. Religion. Jupiter is a very strict follower of the religion. Where does Jupiter exist? Jupiter exists in the temples and also in colleges where Vidya is, Vidya or the education is being taught, right? When you reckon the nakshatras in the Vimshotri model, okay, if you think that Vimshotri, Vimshotri model has to be exercised over the nakshatras, then Jupiter is ruling those nakshatras like the Vishakha, the Punarvasu, the Vishakha, etc. These nakshatras will have 3 padas or the 3 charanas in the air sign and 1 in the water sign. So the person is extremely knowledgeable, but he also is emotional. Okay, this water is making the Jupiter emotional. That's why Jupiter is actually more emotional, whereas Mercury is completely practical. Look at where Mercury exalts. Mercury exalts in the practical sign of Virgo, right? In the sign which is meant for fighting. 6th house is enemies. What does 6th house represent? Fighting. Okay, because what do you do with the enemies? You're only fighting. But Jupiter is the place, exalts at a place where there is enough water. Fresh water is Cancer, right? You have clean water in Cancer. or the river water is Cancer. Muddy water is Scorpio. The samudra or the ocean or a sea is the Pisces, right? And then you have the directional strength in the first house. I've explained about this. Loss of directional strength is in the seventh house. There's another thing why this happens. First house, Jupiter, wherever Jupiter sits, it tries to give things, donate things. Because Jupiter is sattvic, does not want to keep anything to himself, because Jupiter feels if I keep something for myself, I'm doing adharma. I'm doing a big sin, because this does not belong to me. Okay, I have to distribute this all across the people. This is of the people. I came from the earth. The earth belongs to everyone. So I have to distribute this all across the people. Okay. So this is one more thing which Jupiter actually struggles with. Okay, so now seventh house is there. He's sitting on the other side. What happens with that? Jupiter tries to give away to himself, right? So Jupiter may become selfish if he's in the seventh house. May become, okay. But if Jupiter aspects something, any house, it automatically has a good effect on that house. Okay, it becomes automatically sattvic. Okay. And then you have Mula Trikona in the Sagittarius. You look at the exaltation point of the Jupiter. Where does Jupiter exalt? From the Mula Trikona. Always calculate from the Mula Trikona. From the Mula Trikona, Jupiter goes eight houses and exalts there. What does the guru expect from a child or a student? Jupiter expects that the child transforms himself into a good human being, right? So eighth house would represent transformation. What is Jupiter looking at? Jupiter is based on transformation, right? So that is why he is getting exalted in the eighth sign from his Mula Trikona. Mula Trikona means the office. From the office, he's very happy to transform himself, also to transform other people so that they fall in the right track. Because Jupiter writes the rules, right? If you read a rule, you will transform yourself. You come into a company, you will be inducted into the company, and they will say, look, these are those procedures. You have to do these as per these procedures, and you will transform yourself into such a person where you can follow all those procedures. That is what Jupiter is all about, or the rules are all about. What are the other characteristics that you can have? Jupiter is like the Brahmanas. Okay, Jupiter is the Brahmin. Do not go by the casteist understanding of what a Brahmin is. Brahmin wouldn't mean that. Brahmin came from the Brahma, somebody who is talented enough to create something. That is the Brahmana. Okay, or somebody who has the talent to correct something, like the Jupiter. Just I said, something is going wrong, he tries to correct it by praying to the god. That is what Brahmana is. It's not a casteist thing. These days, people have made everything into a casteist thing, and it doesn't come by the birth of a person. It is based on the intellect of the person. Okay, one's own teachers. So these teachers are also Jupiter. Religious, social, and other duties. As I said, all the duties, rules that you need to follow, the morals, because the fourth house is the morals, the ethics, the rules. Okay, all these are in the fourth house. So as an ideal situation is the fourth house. So that is what Jupiter is all about. Jupiter wants an ideal world where nobody is quarreling with anyone. Okay, probably these kind of things exist, these kind of societies existed, like the Indus Valley civilization, right? They tried to dig up the whole site, and ultimately they have found that there existed drains, there existed everything, and one thing was missing. That is the infantry. They did not have any weapons to kill the other people. Probably it means that there was no threat of attacking anyone, and that is the ideal thing that the Jupiter want. Okay. Jupiter is a chariot, right? Jupiter, because the fourth house is vehicles. So Jupiter exalts there. So a guru doesn't walk. He needs a palanquin over which he sits, and people would draw him to wherever, take him to wherever he wants to go. Doesn't walk usually, right? Cows also is ruled by Venus. It comes in the Libra also. That's why sometimes a few things can show Jupiter, Venus both. Cows would mean Venus. Cows would also mean Jupiter because these two are Brahmana planets, right? Infantry, Jupiter rules infantry. Okay, Jupiter has the knowledge of everything of the infantry. So would be Venus. We'll talk about him as well. Venus also knows a little more than what Jupiter is. Okay, we also have Mimamsa, and we also have the nature of the dharma, all of the subjects, right? All of the subjects, the Tarka, Mimamsa, these are all subjects that the ancient people used to call it. It's like the logic, right? Logic is Tarka, Mimamsa is also close to it. And treasure, horses, buffaloes, stout body, large body. Valor also Jupiter rules because Jupiter actually destroys the valor. Okay, if somebody has a third house Jupiter, he is devoid of valor. He doesn't fight. Okay, usually, unless the Arudha Lagna's third house is entirely different with Mars, etc. Otherwise, Jupiter is very poor at fighting. Doesn't fight. Okay, we'll talk about why he doesn't fight, etc. using the charitra or the history of Dronacharya. Okay. Jupiter is famed because he rules. I mean, he gets the directional strength in the first house. Jupiter obviously is logic. So would Mercury be. Anything will always have two planets to signify. Okay. Never think that one thing comes from only one planet. There is always two planets to signify any signification. Please keep this in mind. If one of the planets is bad, always look at the other planet that denotes it. If somebody is using karakas, right? A lot of people ask me, why are you not using karakas? Because I don't use them for different reasons. Okay, but if you are interested in using karakas, because they're a little confusing, sometimes if you don't use it properly, you will get a very wrong understanding of the result. I don't use karakas much. If somebody wants to use karakas, you are free enough to use, but always remember, if one of the karaka is off, there is another karaka for it, for anything. Okay, you have listed something like, the logic. If you write logic, what is the karaka for logic? Always list two planets, two houses, two rashis. So total 6 things will be there. If all the 6 things are gone, then that is when the person will be devoid of that thing. Okay, for that any matter, anything, any karaka, any signification. Okay, complaints of the digestive system because Jupiter eats a lot. Okay, as the age progresses, Jupiter would develop a few digestive disorders. Okay, wealth of the elephants, that means wealth of the cars. In olden days, elephants were used for transportation or luxury transport, etc. So, luxury cars, you can think like that. That is what Jupiter is all about, exalting in the 4th house. Vedanta, that is what Jupiter is all about. Elders. Jupiter is, is a person who would like to respect everyone. If you're trying to, disrespect people, Jupiter is getting spoiled. Okay. So, mansion, Gomedha or a Hassanite, elder brother, grandfather, Indra, second half of winter, axe arising from great indignation, precious stones, all these stones are ruled by Jupiter. Okay, tradesmen is also ruled by Jupiter because, as I said, Venus need, peace. Tradesmen would move very peacefully into different cities only if there is no war. If there is a war happening, how would tradesmen go? They will sit at home. They'll not do anything. Okay. So physical health, because it actually, gets the first house directional strength. So physical health is also ruled by Jupiter. Strange or peculiar palace, honor from the king, great gods, penance, charity, because charity comes because Jupiter is ruling the 12th house, the Pisces, dharma. This is one thing that one has to understand, dharma. This is a 2-letter word, but one of the most difficult terms to understand. What does dharma mean? It doesn't mean a religion. Okay, never think dharma means a religion. Dharma means what a person has to do at what point in time. Okay, that is dharma. Okay, it is time and space kind of thing, or time and work kind of a thing. Time, space, and work thing. At what place, at what time, what one has to do, with whom. You can add all that W things. Okay, That is dharma. What is the right ideal thing to do? That is ruled by Jupiter. So there is a word called dharma sankat. Okay, dharma sankata or dharma sankat, either way you want to call it. So what does this mean is whenever Jupiter is placed in a particular place, it picks up dharma sankata there. That means he's a lot confused about what to do, because this can obstruct dharma, that can obstruct dharma. We will talk about it in detail during the next class. But Jupiter represents dharma, and because dharma will keep changing based on the time, place, person, what has to be done, etc. It is not a constant thing. If you are a son of a mother, you have a different duty to perform. It is the same person who's the husband of a wife. He has a different duty to perform. Okay. If it's a kid, it's a different duty to perform. Okay. If let us suppose, I'll give you a simple example. Some adult clip was found by a very small kid, like 7 year or 8 year kid. Let us suppose something was happening in the adult clip. If the kid comes up to you and asks you, Dad, what is happening here? What would you say? Would you tell him the truth? No, right? So, that is dharma. You're still not saying the truth, and you're trying to protect the dharma. Okay. Doing good to others, impartial outlook, facing towards the north, circular forms. What does facing towards the north would mean is north is the Kubera Sthana. So people usually ask, Jupiter usually looks at the north side, or faced towards the north, which would mean is going to bring prosperity. Okay. Circular forms, yellow color. Religious and moral acts are very strictly done. If something has to be done due to moral reasons, this something affects the moral thing, then Jupiter will be very worried. He would say, look, let me not do it. Let me refrain from doing my act, because it goes against the moral thing. And believe me, don't think this is a very good trait. It is a very difficult trait to have, and sometimes it will put the person into problems, because a work has to be done without any bias, and Jupiter has that bias of my morals will be corrupt if I'm doing that job. Okay, that can land the native into a problem. Traveling in a carriage, okay, covered on four sides as a car, okay, or a palanquin. Okay, sweet juices, sattvic nature, happiness and unhappiness, long, gentle or benefic, anything that expands long is Jupiter. Wandering in the villages, north side, dearest friends, swinging on a plank or an elephant. Okay, elephant is usually represented by Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter is the elephant because that's the largest animal, and Jupiter is the largest planet. Okay, great eloquence, something that can, because Jupiter is the Vachaspati, so he can speak very well. Brain, windy complaints, phlegm, and also the breath. The breath is ruled by Jupiter. Okay, the number of breaths that you would take would be the life of the person, right? That is the Ayurveda Sutra. So the more you are developing anger, the more that you're taking a lot of breath and leaving a lot of breath out. So it means that you are going to develop a lot of stress, and eventually your death is very fast. Somebody who takes the breath very slowly, he is very composed and calm, and he is very peaceful. So the chances of living longer are much higher. Okay. Sound knowledge of the sacred texts and scriptures, soft and pleasant tones, worship of Shiva, not necessarily, need not be Shiva. It can be any deity. Worship of God. Okay. That is what you can write. Okay. Cloth of a medium count. Happiness in a newly built house. Fourth house signification. Exaltation in the fourth house. So you buy a home, suddenly you land into problems, right? This is a Jupiter problem. Okay. You're getting difficulties with the new home. You get into a new home, suddenly everything changes. Okay. You're not happy. Okay. That's a Jupiter problem. Okay. And old age persons, mantra. So that's why I'm saying, so somebody is facing a problem, you have to do it from the problem. You have to get that problem statement correct. Either you predict it, or if you're for you, if you're it is very difficult for you to predict, at least understand what the problem is and then give the remedy. Just not merely give a remedy based on 12th house Saturn, 12th house Mars, 8th house Rahu. These will not work. Okay. Even if they work, they can actually be counterproductive. Sometimes the 8th house planet is a blessing for him. It is necessary for him for the kind of work he is in. And you're trying to remedy him, and ultimately maybe his business or his job is lost or business is gone and all that stuff. So while prescribing remedies, you have to be clear why you are giving a remedy. And believe me, not necessarily every time a remedy is needed. Sometimes you just need to give him a little hope and tell him no remedy is needed. All that you have is anxiety. And assure him that this happens at this particular point in time based on the dasha, etc. And tell him, look, don't be worried. It cannot happen today, tomorrow, but it will happen after 6 months. He would still, he would still be hopeful and wait for that 6 months, and it will happen on that 6th month or 7th month. Okay. So not necessarily every time you have to give him a remedy, etc. Okay, moving towards heaven, house that offers happiness, intellect, great proficiency, long poems, anything that is long, right? Because poems is Venus, or sometimes the Mercury. Okay, or some people say it is both Venus, Mercury. Okay, I'm not debating on such things, because see, it is not every time a single planet can be responsible. Venus can be responsible, Mercury can be responsible, Jupiter can be responsible. These are the three planets that can give you poems. So long poems would mean it is Jupiter for the long thing. Okay. Towers are the long ones. Again, big buildings. So big, anything big, Jupiter. Delighting or impressing an audience, that is Jupiter. Okay. Because if Jupiter just stands up and talks something, even if it is 2 lines, the people are impressed because it's completely new. He brings a lot of wisdom and tries to add up or lit up the stage, right? Cat's eye, the great results of Agnisthoma sacrifice. That means in olden days, people used to do this Agnisthoma sacrifice. Any yajna is called as Agnisthoma sacrifice. Okay, I am not talking about this because in today's world we don't use this at all. Okay, and the throne as well. Throne as well is Jupiter, because although people say throne is sun, yes, I don't deny throne is sun. Throne is 5th house. I will not deny that. But from the 5th to 5th house, just count 5 houses from 5th house. Bhavam is Sagittarius. That's the place where Jupiter is ruling. So if your 5th house is bad, if your 9th house is good, from there also you can get a throne, right? All right. So the Rishi is Gritsna Mother Rishi. The Gotra is Angirasa. We will talk about this man Angirasa in the next lecture. The birth of Jupiter happened in the Angirasa Nama Samvatsara. That means the lunar year is Angirasa, and it's in the month of Shravana or the Shravana. Okay, Sukla Paurnami or Vaishaka Sukla Ekadashi. These are the two dates in which Jupiter could have come. At 2 places, they are mentioned 2 differently. So I've got both these put here. If you look at the Shravana Shukla Paurnami, just look at this tithi, right? Shravana Shukla Paurnami, where would the sun be? The sun will be in the Cancer, and the moon will be in Shravana. That is why it is called Shravana Paurnami. Okay, so you can see that Shravana Nakshatra again. Okay, so Shravana Nakshatra or Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra will be the birth star of Jupiter. The land that Jupiter rules is the Sindhu, that is right now in the Pakistan. Okay, and I mean, why does it has to be mentioned is because just to understand the direction. In those days, they used to mention the name of that place. Okay, you can understand the direction also. Paramatma, Jivatma Avatara. So people think it is a northeast. Yes, I'm not denying it is northeast, but this shows northwest. So why this is northwest, northeast, and etc. Don't be worried about it. Jupiter still rules the northeast, but the land that he rules is Sindhu. And Jivatma, Paramatma, Avatara. It means that it needs support of the other planets to deliver results. Okay, Trishtup Chandas. So more or less, this is what is all about Jupiter. I know there will be a lot of questions. Many of them will be answered in the next class. I mean, the moment we'll get into the next class, Just to give you a heads up, okay, for the next class, Dronacharya. Look at Dronacharya. Dronacharya and this man Arjuna. This is the photo. Everybody knows this story. It is there in all of the languages. So when Dronacharya was teaching the Pandavas and the Kauravas, he asked a simple question. There is a bird here. I want you to shoot the eye of the bird. Okay, and he calls upon each of the person in the Kauravas and the Pandavas and asks them, "What can you see while you hold the bow and the arrow in your hand?" Most of the people say there's a tree, there's a branch. Over the branch there is a bird. In the bird there is an eye, etc. Only Arjuna is the person who says that I cannot see anything else other than the bird's eye, right? So the Dronacharya is very happy about it. Because what does Dronacharya is? Dronacharya is the Jupiter, Moon is the Arjuna. Okay. So everybody must have heard about the Gajakesari Yoga, right? Gajakesari Yoga is the combination of Jupiter and Moon. So Dronacharya gets Arjuna. Dronacharya is actually more happy because he has got Arjuna. That is why he exalts in the sign of Moon, right? Jupiter exalts in the sign of Cancer, which is ruled by Moon. It is actually Dronacharya is more happy for different reasons. I will explain that in the next class. Like one is the insult that Jupiter has faced or Dronacharya has faced due to Drupada, and this man Arjuna is the person who defeated Drupada and got him to the feet of Dronacharya. And we will talk about that thing in length for the Purana stories during the next class when we talk about Jupiter and all the 12 houses. Okay, stay tuned for it for the next week. Any questions this week? I'll be happy to answer. Any comment, any question, any feedback?
Sir, can I ask something?
Yes.
Sir, the placement of Jupiter, like wherever Jupiter sits, does it impact that house
Yes,
more?
it
Or
impacts a lot. We'll talk about that in the length in the next class, but to give you a heads up,
okay.
Jupiter is like, you understand this sentence called Diya Tale Andhera, right?
Okay.
So wherever he sits, there is a huge responsibility being given by Jupiter because Jupiter is the heaviest planet. So Jupiter, besides blessing that house, it gives a lot of responsibility of that house and tries to teach. When a teacher is teaching you, you will not be very happy learning it, correct? Somebody teaches you unless it interests you a lot, but if the teacher is very passionate about teaching, you may still have the passion, but at one point in time you will feel like, look, I'm bored right now, let me do it later on. Okay, so but the teacher is not going to leave you. He's going to teach you constantly because that is where the Jupiter is sitting. So that place is blessed. I have actually listed down what happens when a Jupiter is placed at one place. So it aspects the fifth house, it aspects the ninth house, it also aspects the seventh house. Each house has a different, each aspect has a different meaning if Jupiter is aspecting. I'll preserve that for the next week so that we can talk about it in length. That comes up in the next class.
Okay, sir. One more question. Like, sir, Jupiter rules infancy.
Correct.
So, if we have to see like kids who are born with uh, like special issues or who are born under various difficult situations. So we need to look at the Jupiter placement of the Jupiter also. Like, will that give us a hint of what is going in the life of the?
I got your question.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, how do I look at it? I look at the fifth house, okay, the fifth house cusp, the nakshatra in the fifth house, and then I take the fifth Lord's dispositors nakshatra and the D1. Okay, I would use Jupiter. Probably I will not use Jupiter. I would rather look at the D7. Okay.
Like if we want to see the charts of like special children. So in that case,
everyone. I'll give you a simple rule. If there is a special child, right? The
Yes,
special
sir.
child, you know how to read Saptamsha?
No, sir.
D7 chart. Okay. If you know how to use the D7 chart, the D7 chart will show you either the Lord of the child is placed in the Scorpio or in a place where the eighth Lord is influencing it, or it's in the Aquarius. Okay. That is where the
Okay.
special children are born. It is very easy to understand how Saptamsha works. I'll teach you someday after this thing is over. Please
Okay,
do
sir.
not make your prediction based on Jupiter. You will definitely lose the bus because
Oh,
Jupiter stays in a nakshatra. Let's suppose Jupiter stays like 12 months in a Rashi. Okay, if you're picking up Jupiter's nakshatra or Jupiter's position, etc., you are definitely going to fail with that. So my point is your fifth cusp, your fifth lord dispositor will definitely show that there is some or the other thing wrong with the child. Later on, look at the D7. Then you will understand that there is a problem with the child.
okay, sir.
You can
Okay.
also say the first child is okay, second child has a problem, or the second child is having a problem, the first child is okay, etc. Anything. Third child, fourth child, you can actually time those children as well. And when that happened, what actually went wrong, everything you can list.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
So what would then why do we have to read about Jupiter? You may still have this question. The question the thing is, if you know what are all those things that Jupiter can contribute for, all these things you can use them in the divisional charts as well. Okay, Jupiter contributes for expanding something. It can expand a problem as well. Let us suppose there is a cancer of a person. For some reason there is cancer that you have identified. This person can get a cancer. You have Jupiter aspecting it, or you have Jupiter alongside it. It means that the cancer is spreading very fast because Jupiter will help spreading, or Rahu can help spreading. These two actually will do the same job. Okay. So these are by and large the whole qualities when you're looking at it from the very surface level of what a planet can do. But if you want to, like the ma'am has asked, the specificity when it comes, then you definitely have to use the divisional chart. Please do not make a prediction based on one planet is here. Okay, Jupiter is in the eighth house. That's why there is a problem with the child. I can show you at least 100 charts. Like my mom has eighth house Jupiter. I and my sister are perfectly fine. Okay, so you can never say that. I mean, just in case if somebody is thinking, okay, eighth house Jupiter will have a problem, or 12th house Jupiter will have a problem. I don't know. I mean, there are so many such kind of beliefs that are spread across the fraternity of astrologers. Is that a particular planet is good in one place and another place it is going to give you a negative result? Not necessarily. Okay, a planet that is placed in the 12th house can also give you a great fortune. Planet placed in the first house can also bring you a huge misfortune. Okay, it has, I mean, in today's world, what is fortune and misfortune? It is just the money. Okay, when these shastras were written, there was no money existing, and money did not have any role to play in humans' life. So if you're thinking that these shastras will help me make money, no, they're not going to make you make money. They can only tell you these remedies can be done so that your buddhi is going to differ, and making money is in your hands. If somebody tells you do this remedy and you will make 10 crores from tomorrow, don't believe such things. They'll not happen. Okay. Anybody has any more question?
Yes, sir, I have some questions.
Please go ahead and ask.
So I have actually two questions. So you mentioned about APJ Abdul Kalam's chart.
No, I've
So
not
I want to
mentioned
ask,
his chart. I only
oh,
said his statement.
okay, so do you know his chart? I wanted to ask a
No,
question.
I do not know. I do not know.
Okay, then let's move on to the next question. So is Sagittarius about being war ready?
Yeah,
Given its symbol is an archer ready with a pulled up arrow, but
correct,
he has not fired the arrow yet.
correct.
Same goes with the APJ Abdul Kalam example. Like he knew that war can be an inevitable thing.
Right.
but there is no need
Right.
to do the fear mongering. So he looks like to me like a uh, Uttarashada native with the Sagittarius side to it, like that
I don't, we cannot
Sagittarius
comment.
Navamsha.
Okay, I cannot comment like this because it will go wrong. Okay, you may have 10 things onto the Uttarashada side, and you may have 20 things onto the Purvashada side. So I don't think that will work the right way. And
Okay.
moreover, the standpoint from which you are looking at is different. And the see, everybody tries to portray himself, differently at different horizons, right? The person, APJ Abdul Kalam, wanted to give a signal to the enemy country that, look, I'm equipped enough. That is what he said.
Yes, that's
Why I said that is what the Jupiter does. Jupiter will train you in everything to be war ready, and will also give a disclaimer saying, look, please don't use this to start the war. These are only to show that, look, you're capable enough to defend a war. Because if the Shatru knows that we are not capable, the Shatru will definitely attack us, and he's going to kill every one of us. Right?
right.
That's it.
And another question was regarding Jupiter moon being together or Jupiter aspecting the moon. I mean, you said the aspects are better, but if Jupiter is with the moon, it's called Gaj Kesari Yoga.
No,
But if
even
it aspects the moon,
it's also
I
called
mean,
Gajakesari Yoga. Gajakesari Yoga, the definition is moon being in quadrants to Jupiter, or Jupiter moon being in quadrants to each other, 1, 4, 7, 10.
but if it aspects, then it will be in 1, 7,
Fine. So
5,
it
or
is.
9.
No, I'm saying both has to aspect each other. Moon does not have special drishtis. So they can be
Yes.
in 1, 4, 7, 10 to each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Moon being
So
in
only
quadrants to
Jupiter
Jupiter.
aspecting moon will not be considered.
Jupiter aspecting moon is not considered at all. Jupiter has to be in
Okay.
quadrants to moon.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Because moon works on quadrants.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. Done.
Yes, done for now.
Good. Okay. Was it fast this time? Not enough information was given? Do you guys think so, or enough information was there?
No, sir, enough information is there.
Okay, good. Good.
And I cross-checked that chart for which I was asking you about that Jupiter. So in D7, the ascendant lord, Venus is in Scorpio.
Yeah. So there is
Like,
there is a special, there can be a
yeah,
special chart.
Libra rising with Venus in Scorpio with Saturn and Moon.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So that is also the eighth lord, right?
Yes.
Venus is also the eighth lord, and
Yes, eighth.
yeah, and if it's a woman's chart, it is the 10th lord as well. So there is we can talk about, it's a woman's chart.
No, it's a boy's chart, sir.
Okay, boy's chart. Okay.
He's a twin, so the elder brother, he's the elder one, and the younger brother died after 20 minutes.
Okay.
And he's a quadriplegic child. So, yes.
This is the first progeny.
Born. Yes, sir. For
Okay. So you look at the fifth house from the Libra, from the ascendant, and try to understand how is it. If the fifth house, okay, fifth lord is in Scorpio, that's it. Right? Libra is ascendant, right?
fifth lord. Yes, sir. Fifth lord and fourth
lord.
and
That's the
fifth lord is in
first
Scorpio.
progeny is
Yes.
first progeny is fifth lord. Second progeny is ninth
Yes.
lord. Third progeny is the 5, 7, and 9, and then 11. You have to do a frog jump. You leave one house and you jump to the other one.
Okay.
You can keep rotating all through.
Okay.
So something falls in the Scorpio and severely aspected by different things. Probably.
Okay. Sir,
go ahead.
yeah. Sir, actually, in the birth chart also, this child is a Pisces ascendant with Jupiter and Venus in the sixth house. Here also Venus is the eighth lord.
Yeah. If you look
Yeah.
at D7, similar chart will come to the child.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So by looking at D7, you will be fairly able to understand when so many things are in the Scorpio, there is something that is coming up. And also Scorpio will mean that it's a twin.
Okay, I didn't know that, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Scorpio, Aquarius, because it has got twin lords, right? Ketu and Mars will rule it. Probably I'm not very sure. I gave some information on Saptamsha. Okay, gave some information on Saptamsha, but if you read Sanjay Rath's books, read this Crux of Vedic Astrology.
Okay, sir.
Crux of Vedic Astrology. Maybe he has not given special children. You have to decipher it yourself based on your experience. So that's why I said either Aquarius or Scorpio. Most likely Scorpio is the culprit for disability in children.
And it is coming from both, no, sir, both ascendant also and from moon also.
That is why it is confirmed. If it just sits in Scorpio, not every time you will get a disabled child.
Yes,
But suppose you have just the fifth lord in the second house, it means that there is an abortion. Okay, so death or something, because second house is the Markasthana, right? So somebody must have died either by abortion, forceful abortion, or the doctor had to kill him because he had to protect the other one or something like that. Okay, or the native must have killed because he was not ready for, or they aborted, and so on, depending on situations. So these all things will come in the Saptamsha. It's like a 7-8 classes you will need each 2 hours, and it will be interesting. That's why I'm saying. So my sincere request is, without using the divisional charts, if you're trying to figure out, maybe for that point in time, somebody might say, look at Jupiter, so you will know. I don't think it has worked in all cases. You may still decipher it using Jupiter, not denying it, but you need a huge expertise to do it. I do not do it personally because of the fear that I may commit a mistake. And if I do a mistake, then that's a problem. And I'll try to cross-check. I always apply this principle, which I learned about 15-20 years ago. My boss always said, check, double check, and then cross-check. So I always use 3 things at least to confirm something. And then I'll use a dasha, that to 2 dashas. So that's why any prediction of mine, for me to utter a word, it will take like 15 minutes. For the first 15 minutes, I don't utter a word at all, most of the times. I'm not saying that you all have to do the same thing. This is how I am doing, trying to explain that. Nor I'm saying that, look, this is the best way of doing. There are much better people out in the world who can predict much better. But I'm afraid that if the prediction goes wrong, it's not useful for the person. So let us be clear before saying that, look, this is the prediction. Try it from D1. Then even from the D9 also, you'll be able to understand if you know. Okay, try to check the D9 also. Even in the D9, you will clearly know what you have to do is you have to use Rashi Tulya Navamsha. That means use the same Lagna as in the D1 and try to understand your fifth lord position from there. Okay, and also use the same Rashi Tulya Saptamsha. You can use the same Rashi of the Lagna in the D7 as well and try to check from there too. There also there will be a problem. If everything shows there is a problem, it means there is a problem.
Surely, sir, I can then get back to you.
Okay, so more or less, this is all about Jupiter. So on the closing comments, what I will say is, do not think Jupiter is a Dhanakaraka. Jupiter being in exaltation cannot assure you riches. If somebody says, oh wow, Jupiter is exalted, you will be rich. This is the first biggest thing that you should, say this is wrong. Because see, Jupiter will stay in one Rashi for 12 months. If Jupiter exaltation can bring in riches, the everybody on this planet would have said, let us take leave for 11 years and produce children only during that year when Jupiter is exalted. Okay, why should I give birth to a child who is going to be poor? Let me give birth to a child who is very rich. Okay, this is not the case. And richness does not depend upon the exaltation of Jupiter, nor it will depend upon Jupiter's placement. Oh, Jupiter is in the eighth house. You have a poor, what do you say that? Poor prosperity. No, it's not like that. No planet, okay, being in a place can give you riches or can give you poor thing. It can give riches for different reasons. I'm not saying, oh, with the planets can't you ascertain how rich the fellow is? Yes, you can ascertain. However, you have to always see the D10, because how can a person be rich? A person will be rich only because of his work. Okay, you may say, look, the Ambani's son is rich because his father is rich. Yes, that is right. But then you have to see the D9 then. Okay. So without using the divisional chart and merely going just by the D1 chart and one planet. Second, what I usually see the people as, oh, this man's second lord is debilitated and this man must be very, very poor. This doesn't work. Second lord exaltation, second house has an exalted planet. Okay, second lord debilitated. Please leave all this crap. It is not going to work. I can show you at least 10 people whom I know personally who has second lord debilitated, but they're very rich. I can show you equally 10 people whom I know personally. They have either the second lord exalted, or second house has an exalted planet and they're very poor. They can't even afford a meal for the day. They are begging on the streets. Okay, literally. So it doesn't depend on such very simple, trivial, obvious things. If such easy was Jyotish, everybody would have become astrologers by now. There would be no one who will seek consultation. There will be only astrologers. No one to seek actually any consultation from anyone. It simply doesn't come like that. If somebody says that, oh, your seventh lord is debilitated, that's why you have a poor marriage, I mean, slap him on his face. You tell him, look, please read something and come. Just like that, don't give predictions. Doesn't work like that. Okay. My objective is never to offend anyone. However, these things don't work. So please come out of the trance looking at your seventh lord debilitation or seventh lord exaltation. Never be happy nor sad for it. They're not going to work. Please use divisional charts to confirm events, and then please use the dashas, at least two different dashas, which you have to master. That is when your predictions will come true. However, you can still see each of the house in isolation. You can listen to classes of Deepanshugiri, etc. However, the word of caution is you cannot literally have all those working at every time. They will work most of the times, but you need to know how to make them work. Otherwise, it's very difficult. A lot of people take many classes, they spend a lot of money, but they end up, confused more than why most of the things are not working, because they only tend to teach you to a level and leave it there, because you have to pick it from there and move forward. It will come with some experience. It is not going to come just like that. And merely, do not try to copy others. What I'm saying is, I would never use just the D1 and predict. Although I get a very fair idea of by looking at the D1 itself. 90% of the times, or 95% of the times, I'm very sure while I look at the D1 itself, that these are those things that can be happening for this native. However, I will not say till I look at the respective divisional chart and confirm that event, and then say, look, did this happen? Okay. So come to that level of that calibration, because you need to check at least 4 or 5 events in the native's life and ensure that the birth time is right, and then try to predict events. That is when the real astrology comes up. Otherwise, just by, I still have a lot of groups, people are putting comments saying, oh, this planet is in the 8th house, that planet is in the 12th house, this planet is in the 6th house. You will see a lot of people having all these combinations and they still are happy. They don't have any problem. you may see that a lot of planets are placed excellent. No planet is placed bad. Most importantly, I'll give you today's kids, right? I mean, today's kids in the sense, anybody who's born after 2002, 2003, there's a trend that came in South India wherein, people approach astrologers because everybody is going for cesarean. People approach astrologers and they'll say, look, give me a good time for the cesarean operation. So the astrologer will ensure only one thing. There are no planets in the 6th, 8th and 12th houses. And they'll give them a time to perform the surgery. The funniest part is, you see how many people are successful. Okay, you still have the time, right? So, I mean, never say that, okay, because the operation is done at that time, so it is a wrong one. Maybe we have to correct it for 1 hour, 2 hours, etc. No, it's not needed. Take the same time as the operation is performed when the kid came out, and when the doctor says this is the birth time, please have a note of it. Use the divisional charts. You'll be very clear with one thing. Based on the karma of you, based on your karma, your kids are born to you. It's very clear. If your karma is very clear, same thing will appear in your kids. Okay. So, I mean, if you're trying to fool the god and say, look, I'm going to make a cesarean operation and I'm going to get everything right from this boy. Ravanasura did the same thing. Ravana did for Meghanatha, right? It was his Saturn, he tried to slip, tried to move retrograde that house, and everything went wrong for him. Similarly, although your D1 is very good, if your D9, D10, and many more charts like that, okay, not just the D16, any of those Varga charts, if they have a problem or if they carry something, that karma is going to come to you. All that what you're thinking is, oh, I'm looking at the D1, all your D1 has exalted planets, all your D1 has very good planets, and still the person is doing nothing, okay? Maybe he's not begging, but he's leading a much below our ordinary life. Why? Because of the lack of strength in the Navamsha, Dashamsha, etc. Okay. You guys agree with what I'm saying, or you think?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So had this been a practice even in the Northeast and elsewhere? Ustad, go ahead.
Yes, and this has been a rampant practice in our side also, north side, I mean.
Yeah, great.
People are deciding to give birth. In my own family, a lot of my elder uncles in larger family, they tried doing this, but they failed miserably. I don't know, something wrong happened with the mm, lady who was pregnant, and the child also had some abnormalities even after fixing the time.
Yeah,
So things
that's what
can
I'm
go
saying. So,
very wrong in such cases.
mhm.
And these BNN guys also, like Brihunandi Nadi people, they keep predicting all the wrong things by just one planet. I don't know how do they even why people watch them. I don't understand. I
Uh,
don't see them working.
okay, they work 50-60% of the times.
Yeah, 60-40 is the ratio. That's what I
60% of the times they
have
work,
observed.
40 they will fail. And the beauty of
Yes,
BNN
40 they
is
will fail.
they'll make 100 predictions, and of which 50 will be true for you. So you will feel like, oh, he's made 50 predictions for me.
Sensationalism.
Yeah, if somebody
Sensationalism
comes
is
to
the
me,
word.
right, I will only predict 2 or 3 events in his life, and not more than that. And I will give him only one remedy, or maximum two. If the fellow insists, look, I'm in deep thing, you need to help me out, maybe I'll give him one more. 90% of the times, I don't give many remedies. I would say just light up a lamp, simple things, and
Yes.
give a timeline instead. Okay, and this is the timeline. At this point in time, this is how the life is going to be, so that he's more prepared and take that karma more easily than to be worried. That is how I deal with. I mean, I'm not saying I'm doing it the right way. I'm only trying to say that this is what I'm doing.
But sir, at least you are not fooling people. That's that
If
is
you're
the right
trying to
thing.
fool somebody else, right, you're actually fooling yourself, because you'll
Yes.
be caught one day. It is a lot of people try to fool the fool the mankind, and they all have miserably failed. And somebody said, if Jupiter, I don't know, maybe Saturn is in fifth to Jupiter, there is no children. I mean, how foolish the prediction is. Just look at it. Jupiter stays for one whole year. Saturn stays for 2.5 years. For all those people who will be born during the time, will have Jupiter and Saturn in 5-9 positions to each other. Are you saying there are no children for all those people born in that whole year? I mean, come on. I mean, let's use some common sense. We are astrologers, but not devoid of common sense, right? Please use common sense. It doesn't work like that.
Yes,
See, if you
true.
use a principle, you cannot change it every time. There are a lot of people that I have seen. They'll try to make a prophecy of stating this. This is the principle, and they tailor it every time. They try to change it 100 times, and just based on what they're, because they're using only one chart, D1 chart. Okay, if you're using just the D1 chart, then you may have to change your prediction 100 times for sure. Okay, if you use the divisional chart, just as I said, the lady asked, there is the boy is a little, what is that? He has some deformity of the limbs or something, or some physical deformity is there. So I said Scorpio must be the thing, and it will work. That is how the prediction has to be, and if you're using the right chart, it will come.
And so one thing works like magic,
Mhm.
like you told about the dispositor theory. Like if many planets are there in a certain house, and lord of the lord of that house, that
Yeah.
nakshatra,
Yes.
that is like magic. I have seen that in every chart. I have not found a single chart where it doesn't work.
It
The
works.
problem will be coming from there.
Yeah, it works. And the beauty of that is, even there, I must have given 100 predictions. Maybe 60, 70 will still come. Okay. 60, 70 will still come. Even on the nakshatra side, there can be 30, 40 that may not be coming. But when you're using the Navamsha and other things, right, everything will be crystal clear. There is no way that you'll be wrong. And if you master Vimshotri, and if you master some other dasha like the Kala Chakra or something, you can keep everything on your fingertips and just say, look, this is what is going to happen. Either you like it or not like it. I'm not going to change it. You pay me or don't pay me, I'm not going to change it. This is what the prediction is. Please take it and leave. Because sometimes I'm very, very rude, because what people think is astrologers are like magicians. Sir, why are you saying this? My daughter is already 27 years old. If she will get married at 29, what will happen to her, sir? Will he marry at 29? Sir, please don't get her married right now. She has a problem. Please don't get her married. No, there are so many alliances coming up. How are you saying we will not get her married? Already it is delayed. Why are you saying at 29 you should get married? Fine, sir. Please go ahead and get her married. Then this guy comes back after 6 months and says, sir, we have got her married today. There is a big problem. What do we do? I've told you not to get married, right? There is a bad time right now. Please get her married after 2 years. No, no, no. I will not listen. There's no way you can remedy it. Had there been a remedy that can be done, I would have said that this remedy is there. Please go ahead and do this remedy. And sometimes those remedies don't work. So I would say only please leave that dasha and get married after that dasha. They'll not listen. They'll go get married, or maybe drop me, go elsewhere, get the treatment, get the medicine, and then come back. So I'm not saying I'm the best astrologer. I'm not trying to portray that I'm the greatest one that is available. What I'm trying to say is anybody can become best if they can check, cross check, double check, do this thing, and then give the prediction instead of just making it based on one single rule. There will be 10 things that will be behind this. Please use all of them and then take it. And there will be an infallible thing like the Scorpio thing, which I said, or the Aquarius thing, which it will be an infallible thing. At last, it will be there. But that should not be the starting point. If I say that something falls in Scorpio will make you crippled, it means that anybody that has a planet in Scorpio in the Saptamsha, they'll worry, right? And it necessarily will not happen. It depends on a lot of things, right? For all the crippled people, you may have Scorpio, but all the Scorpio people are not crippled. The other way around, if you be understood. Understood, Ustad, what I said?
Yes, understood.
Yeah. Okay.
So that dispositor, the planet, like the nakshatra of the highest dispositor, it works really well, sir. After watching your Adra's Adra nakshatra, I came across a chart. where most of the planet was disposited by Adra, and all the traits that you mentioned in that chart. That okay, if Mercury is in Gemini, and if in any way it is linked to Rahu, then death of sibling will happen. So all the things were matching. So death of sibling, death of Bua, then one more person died.
Okay.
Something was there. I don't remember. So everything was matching, and all the traits of Adra were like bang on for that native.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Please share these feedback so that people, will develop some confidence, because there will be a lot of people who would be watching videos for the first time. They will understand that how powerful nakshatras can be, and if you can master nakshatras just based on D1 as well, you can give predictions. But I will always stop you from doing it. Please don't do it. Always check the Navamsha and another divisional chart that absolutely applies for that. Everything check Navamsha and also use the respective divisional chart. Like even for the job, use Navamsha and D10 both. Then you will have a clear understanding of why this dasha is operating like this. We'll come to that once we get there, right? But before that, I want everyone to have a very good understanding of all these things. These are not simple things to remember. Okay, these are difficult. You have to go back, read once or twice, maybe listen to this lecture once again. Although some things may be boring, because such chart is not there with you. When such chart comes up, right, it will become more interesting, because I get to see a lot of charts, so everything here is interesting. There's nothing that disinterests me here. That's why I've put everything um, up here. Okay, anybody else has any feedback?
So one more thing I wanted to ask, but it is not related to Jupiter.
Okay.
Like, how does Mrityu Bhag work, sir? Like, if a planet is in Mrityu Bhag, means I'll have disease related to that.
No, it's not easy. Okay, if the planet is in Mrityu Bhaga, I'll explain it in the coming classes, because the nakshatras are not over yet. That is only the first level of nakshatras. After
Okay.
that, you will have the nakshatra charanas. Each nakshatra has 1, 2, 3, 4 charanas, right? While I'm explaining the Navamsha, I'll give you that understanding. During that time, I will touch upon the Mrityu Bhagas as well.
Okay, sir.
All right.
And yes, sir, for that, the Gemini one that I said you, his son also had cancer, and it was detected at 4th stage, but he's better now. And it's a Pisces ascendant chart, sir.
Okay. Okay. Good. Chalo, good to hear that a few people are able to understand and decode, or what is decode? That's the wrong way of saying. Are able to, get the predictions right. There's nothing decoding here, because already everything is decoded, and that's there in the videos. Just hear them and try to make some predictions. Always use divisional charts. Without divisional charts, please. Now you have no questions today.
I join in between, sir.
Okay. Okay. Shall we end the class? Then fine. Let's say goodbye to each other. Okay. Thank
Sir,
you.
good evening.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.